Italian manager Roberto De Zerbi has come to prominence during his time in the Premier League as he's drawn attention for his team's style of play. Admired for the way his teams play out from the back, as well as their chance creation productivity, by looking at his background and tactical approach, we can uncover what makes Roberto De Zerbi a tactical genius. The ex-midfielder had an average playing career, as despite eventually playing for top club Napoli, he only ever made 3 Serie A appearances. He started his career close to his home in northern Italy, at massive club AC Milan, instead of his local side Brescia. At the time, AC were one of the best teams in the world, with a plethora of world-class players. Milan were under the influence of legendary coach Arrigo Sacchi, who influenced many managers, including later Milan managers Fabio Capello and Carlo Ancelotti. Roberto's managerial career took him on a trip through a group of Italian teams until he was hired by small emerging club Sassuolo. They were so small they couldn't even play in their own stadium as it wasn't safe enough to handle the crowds of Serie B and Serie A. Sassuolo were not a small club in terms of managers over their history. Italian Serie A level coaches Allegri, Pioli and Di Francesco were all part of their climb to fame and set them up for the future. After a great run of seasons for Sassuolo that shocked the Italian giants around them, De Zerbi got a job for Ukraine Champions League regulars Shakhtar Donetsk. They had a reputation of buying top South American talents, especially from Brazil, that gave him access to some high-level footballers combined with tremendous training facilities. Great players, elite setup and world-class competition threw Roberto into the limelight, showing off his tactical details to the best clubs in the world. Brighton's director of football needed to find someone to replace the British tactical genius Graham Potter, who'd left the club to join Chelsea. Like Sassuolo, they overperformed after promotion, albeit they had their own stadium in place and were ready to play at the highest level. Brighton owner Tony Bloom demanded a fixed strategy that planned above and beyond the changing players and managers, so Brighton needed someone similar to Potter. The Italian stood out as the right candidate and was able to bring the most out of some of their budding youth internationals.
Good people, because in the Brighton club there are only good people through.
After a tremendous first season by De Zerbi, Brighton won their first ever qualification to European competition. This overachievement meant the Seagulls were forced to sell many of their young stars on the back of Roberto's tactical teachings.
First of all, we have to respect our club, our fans, ourselves, normally.
De Zerbi's tactical approach relies on principles of width and depth, like most possession-based strategies. The width is needed to have lateral spacing from one wing to another, and this is normally provided by the fullbacks and the wingers. The wingers also provide depth as well by being the players furthest up the field. Depth on the other end of the pitch is given by the goalkeeper, who's very important in the build-up phase. We can see an average pass per game of mid-40s, which is among the highest in world football. Average distance per pass is down, and percentage of time a goalkeeper launches a long-distance pass is way down also compared to other teams. From that, and we can see from the passes per game, the centre-backs are heavily used to move the ball across their own goal area and to progress the ball up the pitch. Lewis Dunk at Brighton has often been the leader in passes per game in the league, showing how much they rely on him in particular. Centre-backs are also used heavily when the ball is in the opponent's half, to rotate the ball from one wing to another and move the point of attack. Dunk, for example, passes about 35% of his passes forward, which are normally played to the left fullback or to one of the 2 double pivot midfielders.
But I think my work is to give my style, to give my idea, to improve the players in terms of what you want in football.
One of the secrets of De Zerbi ball is how he uses a double pivot. A single pivot is normally one midfielder, but Brighton set up with a pivot created by 2 midfielders. This would seem to ignore the principles of width and depth, as it would bring 2 players close together in the centre of the pitch. However, it relies on principles of passing, which would simply state a shorter pass has a higher percentage of completion. If you depend on width and depth alone, distances of players could be too far to make perfectly accurate passes and be intercepted or hard to control. Roberto's midfield players will try to stay close to each other, and when playing through the middle to supply angles around pressing defenders. They also aid each other if one loses the ball, as the other is on hand to help recover the ball in the most dangerous area. Also, higher up the pitch, attacking players would come back to receive a pass from a centre-back or one of the pivots, and the other pivot player would make himself available with a third-man run. A third-man run is when a pass is played forward, but a third player offers themselves for an offload pass. This is done as a long pass forward is dangerous, so support for the receiver is necessary as soon as possible.
If you want to control the game, to command the play, you have to enjoy.
The third man is running forwards with the ball, so they're facing the correct way to progress the ball again in a safe way. Also, the third man provides cover if the pass forward is not completed in order for counter-pressing to be applied directly. Fundamentally, this allows De Zerbi teams to progress the ball quickly and accurately, with safety included while the team can maintain width and depth. Once the initial progression is made, width and depth is needed to occupy other defenders, which makes it difficult for them to stop the ball movement after they've overpowered the middle. This makes wingers extremely dangerous as they have isolation inside the pitch and down the wing by holding high width and depth on the pitch.
I think we reach a high level of football, and we have right technologies playing in this disposition, tactical disposition.
Brighton showed this by confidently selling Trossard to Arsenal and immediately replacing him with Japan international Matoma. They were not just top players, the De Zerbi system was getting the most out of them in that position, and when one left winger was sold, Brighton had another to take advantage of in the tactical system. Finally, Roberto uses a false nine, or two of them, to drop deeper into the build-up play in their own half. A false nine is more like an attacking midfielder, someone who's asked to drop deep and be involved in the possession phase, help to recover the ball and create chances for others. This involvement in the play normally leaves the wingers as the highest players up the pitch, as the false nine is integrated into third-man run actions to break the midfielders out of the opposition's press. This means that all four levels, goalkeeper, defenders, midfield and attack, are working together to bring the ball out of their own half of the pitch following a goal kick, free kick or throw-in. What makes De Zerbi special lies in the move away from a Spanish-style single pivot when playing out of the back. Many football analysts believe any combination of two midfielders is classed as a double pivot, but there are many types of defensive midfielders that do not necessarily work together. This could have been due to his early exposure to AC Milan manager Arrigo Sacchi's approach, who famously created some of the best centre midfielder pairings in world football in the 90s. This saw Dutch legends Ruud Gullit and Frank Rijkaard playing alongside Italian maestros Roberto Donadoni and Carlo Ancelotti in a similar system to Brighton. The genius of the Brighton manager's tactical approach is the focus on the biggest error in the opposition, and that's their attempt to press the whole pitch to restart.
It's important the quality, it's important the coaches, but the most important is the head.
When his players are passing out from the back, he punishes opposing teams that try to press from a static position by bringing central players close together while maintaining width and depth on the pitch that they can't ignore. Many teams believe that pressing this way is the only way, and De Zerbi knows this can be exploited. Once you're in the opposition's half successfully, his team will set up to create the best chance possible in order to not waste the hard work done in the build-up play. The Italian manager has many admirers in world football and could join the elite if given the chance at a big club. His approach seems to work with all players, new and old, as he seems to take from football strategies from today and the past. This all blends perfectly into an almost unstoppable attacking force that unifies the team as they all benefit from the genius of Roberto De Zerbi's tactical approach.